the construction industry has never been busier in the history of the world. This is not just a local issue. This is a nationwide, and I know a lot of contractors down the States that are in the same boat. Good tradesmen can make 80 to 100 grand a year right now. Easy.
I think it's important for people to understand there's always going to be demand for this skill set, right? Like I can't envision where AI just automatically replaces what you're doing on a day-to-day, particularly in your niche as well. What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here, and we're back with John from BlackJack Contracting. Hey, John, how's it going?
Good, brother. Nice to see you again.
Good seeing you as well. And I love the new setup. I just thought I'd say that right off the top.
Thanks,
because it's looking very sharp, and I actually really like the red stapler too. But today we're going to be talking
red
about
swing line, baby.
Right? Nice. Office space. And actually, these days you probably spend a lot more time in the office than 5 or 10 years ago. But today we're going to be talking about why it's hard to find a contractor. And I think, I don't think it's ever really been easy to find a contractor, but it's certainly getting a lot harder these days. And whether you're looking for a small project or a massive renovation or a gut job, it seems like a lot of investors are really challenged by trying to find the right person for the right job. And that'd be great to explore that with you, John. So where should we start on this subject?
Yeah, all I can say is, unfortunately, it's not going to get any easier. But we've had this chat a little bit in the past during finding a contractor. But why right now it's so difficult is because the construction industry has never been busier in the history of the world. This is not just a local issue. This is a nationwide, and I know a lot of contractors down the States that are in the same boat. The people spent all their vacation money on their houses, and investors, it's been, interest rates are so low right now that investors are buying up everything they can get, and every one of them needs the reno to get the burr lift, right?
Yeah.
Another big problem is that the amount of people in the trades are lower than they've ever been too, even though it's such a lucrative gig right now. I highly blame the government on this one a bit because, we pushed children away from, young kids and teenagers away from the trades for so long to pursue technology careers or web-based careers. And then when they got out of school, there was no jobs to be had when there's just trades begging for shortages. So as most people know, I'm an electrician. We've been trying to hire electricians for a year now. And there's just nothing to be have of quality. This is not going to get better until they put a high emphasis on getting apprentices trained. And it's don't get me wrong. I think a lot of the reason why people don't get into the trades is because it's hard work, but it's a very lucrative job. You get to work with your hands. Education's paid for. You start out the gate making good money, and now even the wages for beginning people are at average of 18, 22 bucks an hour to start, and start at McDonald's when you're 14 or 14 bucks an hour, something like that. And so that's the answer to the first simple question, but it's until there's an emphasis on getting more young people into the trade, we're going to have massive problems. So contractors like myself who are, trying to hire all the time quality people are having a hell of a time. So what it's driven up to is it's driven up to paying way more money than we are accustomed to for a certain position, which unfortunately is another one of the reasons why renovation and construction costs have driven up. Now, obviously it's great for the people in the field, not so good for the consumer, but that's what it's taking to hire good talent right now. And again, so I'm having a little bit of a shift in mindset of not trying to find so many of those people, as in getting younger people trained up in your system to get it up there. And so that's one of the major challenges that's going on right now.
Yeah. And, I haven't just heard this from you. I've got several friends, both people that are just through real estate investing, as well as guys I grew up with from high school that went on to, get their trade certification, start a small business. And then a lot of them tried to scale and really struggled scaling their business due to like a disconnect between the labor they were hiring and kind of the quality they were getting. And so I wonder, John, I guess if there are a lot of young people watching my YouTube channel, a lot of motivated, hungry individuals, do you think, is there any direct like misconceptions maybe that you find when someone like joins your team and they're like, oh, I thought it was going to be this versus that? Or do people think it's too hard of work? Do you think that people just, I guess anything there that maybe for young people that are considering a career in the trades, what sort of advice or perspective would you share with them?
So, I mean, I started in the trades when I was 17 years old. I always knew that I wanted to work with my hands. It wasn't much for for sitting behind a classroom. But people gave it a negative perception, like, it's a lower class job or something like that. And I think that's what the perception caused. But until you realize that, you can go 5-year apprenticeship, you decide to get into a red seal trade and, make a great living throughout it and come out of it with zero debt. And, a good tradesman can make 80 to 100 grand a year right now, easy, after 5 years of apprenticeship, where say you go into university for any random reason. I mean, if you have I'm not against university by any means, because you want to be a doctor, lawyer, of course you have to do that. But if you're just going there for the sake of going there, I think honestly that's that being pushed is almost criminal, because you're going to come out with all this debt that you're going to have to come out, and you're going to be I've been getting engineers, like I've had 50 engineers apply for jobs because they can't get work in their field, and all that education they put into, which is sad. But if you're a young guy, especially if you're a young, eager real estate investor, I mean, think of all the advantages to going into the trades. I mean, for a quick example, I just bought a flip house myself for starting soon, and then if I had to pay someone to do it because it's a big project, I'd be talking 350K, and then for me, I'm going to get it done for about 200. It's a big project. It's an example, but I mean, there's so many advantages, not to mention that you're making an income right at it while you're in school. So
yeah,
it's not like you have to.
That's a big difference that I don't think necessarily everyone realizes, right? There's options or often opportunities with different companies where you can join them as an apprentice, and as you're going through the process, they'll actually pay for that education versus the average person going to post-secondary. What it is, you take on a shit ton of debt, cross your fingers, hope you're going to get a job on the other side of all that learning, where you really are learning like hands-on skills. And I think it's important for people to understand there's always going to be demand for this skill set, right? Like I can't envision where AI just automatically replaces what you're doing on a day-to-day, particularly in your niche as well, right? When we're renovating existing buildings.
That's right. So that I don't think enough people are considering is that we're in the last 10 years of the baby boomers before they're retired. And that's where all the true talent is right now. These guys, that the skills that they have are never going to be replaced again, because we're not taught the same way they were. And so the trade shortage that's here now is going to be amplified by 100 over the next 5 years. So, a non-union electrician, for example, is $90-100 an hour, but companies are charging out right now. I guarantee you within 5 to 10 years, you're going to see that go to $300 to $500 an hour, and that's purely going to be supply and demand. It's actually kind of scary if you know much about it. We're in it now, but it's about to get a lot worse. So, I mean, that's about back to being a young guy with a future. I've had people that are 40 years old switch careers back to being in trades, because that there's going to be work there. It's good work. It's good paying work. And there's just no shortage of work right now. And I don't think it's going anywhere soon. And if you get into like electrician, plumber, HVAC, if you're interested in that kind of career, you always need heating and cooling. You always need plumbing, and you always need electrical. No matter what robots replace us, you need electrical to replace us. So it's something that shouldn't be taken lightly. But so I highly recommend anybody that's not sure what they want to do, even if you pick up a trade at the beginning and then you move on to a different career, you can always fall back on that trade. So I think it's a great path. I've had a lot of people come to me that have gone the university route that regretted not doing the trade first. And I've had people go, full 7-year degrees and then get into the trade. So it's kind of cool to see that. But so that leads into with us having hard times hiring. And I'm just one small company, but there's all the ones across this country. with, chewing up every talent we could get. And the fact that we can't get enough limits how much work we can do. And that's why it's getting harder and harder to book contractors. I know a lot of guys out there are booking into like September and December right now for work. And so we've always made sure that we could start within a few weeks, because we know, real estate investor projects are based off closings, and time is money. We've had to switch from 2-week start times to 4-week start times right now, but we do all the back end work just because of how much is coming in and how busy it is. But trying to keep up, but I honestly, that's why we talked a lot about making sure that all that planning goes into staged. You're buying a house, you get your contractors lined up as soon as possible.
Yeah, really appreciate the perspective. And I guess before we maybe like wrap up from this subject matter, if someone was maybe sitting on the sidelines, they're thinking about what career they want, what does it look like if they're thinking about joining BlackJack or another contracting company, if you don't want to talk about yours in particular?
Yeah, no, I don't mind talking about this. I mean, if you don't have like a whole set of skills yet, you're going to start as a laborer, and a laborer is going to go between 18 to $22 an hour for the first year or two. And you know what, the first year in something is a little awkward because you're not 100% what you're doing, and you're working with a bunch of personalities. Just have thick skin, get through the first year, because after that first year you start picking up skills, and once you start picking up skills you make more money, and then they're going to give you more skills to learn, and skills, and then so you learn a lot in 3-4 years, to the point where you now become a carpenter or a skilled renovator. The sky's the limit on wages, $30-$40 an hour, like good guys can make. The idea is be a sponge. The guy, guys aren't going to stop and teach you everything. You do have a little bit of learning on the fly, which is honestly, I think, the best version of education. You learn more just doing stuff than you are ever going to by someone teaching you something. So, I mean, it's not an easy career by any means. You're going to work hard. I mean, the honest truth of the matter is like, especially if guys are into physical fitness and stuff like that, that it's a great job if you're physically, you're always moving, you're learning, you're in different situations. It's exciting, quite honestly. And so you start off something as a laborer, you just work hard, you do what you're supposed to be told, you learn, show them you can do new skills, learn the tools. And as you pick up the career, you can develop a real beautiful career. And be honest with you, even if you don't want to work for a company for a long time, 5-6 years in a construction business, and you want to become a flipper, well, you got all the skills you need in the context you need to be a flipper. Or you want to, buy and hold, so you want to flip and renovate yourself, or learn how to project manage, or I'm starting to pull people out of the investor field into the company to learn different roles, because they have the mindset, like my first sales guy, Dave, which I'll introduce you to one time. He comes from the investor, he knows how to talk with them, learns their needs, knows their needs, because he is an investor. And so like, I've actually had more and more investors reaching out about starting a career with our company because they like what we're doing. And just because, you get to stay in the real estate investing world, just in a different field. So it's really kind of cool. And I mean, you don't have to be a young buck to start a new career. 30, 40 years old, we've had lots of people come into the business. And so you could still be involved with real estate investing, just on a different aspect of it. And you learn how to save yourself the cost. Project managers, another one. Maybe not so much on hands, but you're learning everything about real estate investing, and managing the projects, and then they're going to take those same skills for their own projects. So it's really cool that there's a lot of options.
Yeah, really appreciate you breaking it down for us. And I think just building upon that concept of, as an investor, I know there's so many investors that love the idea of getting paid to learn while they're going through this process. And I think looking at trades or project management, there's a lot of opportunities there for potential investors. And just to kind of give perspective, at BlackJack, I'm assuming you guys are constantly looking for electricians, looking for like construction renovators, all that good stuff
every day.
And so before we wrap up, just a reminder, what markets are you guys currently in?
So our primary markets are from Niagara up through Brantford. We started out in London a little while ago. We are moving east slowly, Peterborough, Belleville. To tell you the honest truth, it's been so bloody busy that I've kind of scaled back moving out right now, because we're trying to get everything honed here.
Yeah.
but we are working on getting out to those markets. And then winter's still on the horizon. That's the next big step. And then we're still hoping for the fall. We've learned a lot of lessons on traveling a little bit about how to do it efficiently, because I refuse to have, a crappy run show up. So I see something that's not going as well as the things, I kind of slow it down, which is exactly what we're doing right now, because we've scaled quite a bit. We're up to like 27 employees. So we're working on taking our redoing the systems to make it all honed together. And it's going pretty well. It's just, lots of little hiccups, but that's the idea.
Yeah. Well, again, always really appreciate you just being real, raw, and honest here on YouTube with us, John, because I know there's so many investors that when first approaching a contractor, it kind of feels like a magical black box where it's very opaque and it's hard to know. And you just sharing your experiences is just a wealth of knowledge for everyone. So really appreciate it. And for anyone watching at home, if you guys want to get in contact with John or BlackJack Contracting, we've got links in the video description down below to all their information. Any last words of advice for people thinking about jumping into a career in the trades there, John, before we wrap up?
You know what? If there's something that you're naturally good at, something that you just enjoy, I highly recommend pursuing that. So if you like working with wood, you like working with plumbing, electrical, really, if you enjoy what you do, there's an old saying, but I mean, when it comes to electrical, for example, which I grew up in, and I don't do it anymore, obviously, because I'm doing BlackJack, but I enjoyed what I did. I didn't feel like it was going to work. You enjoyed learning the process. So if you could find a career that you feel that way, you'll just enjoy life, make good money doing it, and have a great learning experience. So that's my advice: is if you see something you like, stick to it.
Awesome. Love it. Thanks, John.